Hi, I'm Gidon from technologyman.com. Today I'm looking at the GoPro Hero 5 Black action camera. This sits in the middle of GoPro's lineup of its popular cameras and has a retail price of around £400 or $400. It's waterproof to 10 meters without any additional enclosure. It comes with a 2-inch touchscreen, records 4K video, it can be controlled with your voice, and it's tiny. But who's it meant for, and what advantages does it have over just using your smartphone or a waterproof point and shoot camera for that matter? Well, the single biggest advantage of action cameras like this are the mounting options available. GoPro cameras have been around for years and have an ecosystem of mounts and accessories that, together with their compact size and light weight, enable them to be mounted to pretty much anything, anywhere. But I wouldn't recommend one as a general camera. Their diminutive size can make them difficult to operate, sound quality is not great, and battery life is below average. With that out of the way, let's take a closer look. You'll need to insert the battery and memory card to get started. Press the latch release button on the bottom battery door and slide the door open. Slip in the included battery and a micro SD card, which isn't included, with the label facing the battery. You need a fast card of at least class 10 or UHSI speed. The camera itself is 6 cm by 4 cm and just over 3 cm thick, taking into account the lens, which is thankfully replaceable. With the battery and card inserted, the camera weighs in at only 120 grams. Hold down the latch release on the side door and slide open to reveal the USB-C charging port and micro HDMI port. This door is very fiddly to open, and don't be surprised if it becomes detached. It's meant to be easily removable. But if you do take it off temporarily, put it somewhere safe, because GoPro charge a whopping £25 or $25 for a replacement. Charge the camera using the supplied USB-C cable, connecting to a USB charging adapter which isn't included, or a computer. GoPro also sell their supercharger, which allows faster charging via USB-C power delivery. It works really well and will fast charge the latest smartphones too, but it's pricey. It'd be really nice if this was included. Charging is complete when the status light turns off, which can take up to 3 hours. If you want to get going quickly, just press the top red shutter button to turn the camera on and start recording with the default settings. Use the mode button on the side to create tags after any part of the video you want to highlight. This will make the editing process much easier. The camera has a built-in GPS receiver, so it will also record your location. To stop recording, just press the shutter button again. The camera will also then turn off. This quick capture mode, as GoPro calls it, is great, but if you want to configure the camera settings, connect the camera to your smartphone or play back what you've recorded, turn the camera on using the button at the side. The camera will turn off with a long press of this button. The touchscreen is small but very clear and fairly responsive. You can directly tap on a setting to change it, or you can swipe down from the top to access the Connect menu for pairing to your smartphone and the Preferences menu. Here you can also quickly turn on or off voice control and lock the screen. If we tap on Preferences, it's good practice with a new memory card to scroll down to and tap on Format SD card. Just below this setting is Camera Defaults, which will restore the camera back to its original settings, which can be really useful once you start messing around, since it's really easy to get lost. The default setup is actually very sensible for most of us for reasons that I'll get to shortly. Swiping to the left gets you to the advanced settings, and swiping to the right lets you view your recorded content. The camera's current settings are also displayed on the front LCD panel. The mode button at the side also switches from video to photo to burst to time-lapse and back to video again. The Hero 5 Black is hugely configurable, which can be confusing. There are two main choices to consider. Firstly, and most importantly, is resolution. The default 1080p is actually a very good choice for most of us. This is what's also referred to as Full HD, so it would be played back at the native resolution on the majority of TVs and computer monitors. Personally, I wouldn't go any lower than this. The camera will record up to 4K, which is 4 times the resolution of 1080p, and there's also a 2.7K setting in between, sometimes referred to as Quad HD or 1440p. Secondly, you'll need to decide on frame rate. That's how many frames of video are recorded per second. This dictates how smooth the video is, but beyond 30 FPS or frames per second, it also allows slow motion effects in editing. Normally video is played back at 30 FPS, so if you record at 120 FPS say, you could potentially slow down the video by a factor of 4 whilst editing for true slow-mo. But the faster frame rates also need more light, and they aren't available at higher resolutions. Again, the default frame rate of 60 FPS is a good option. It allows for nice smooth video, and you have the option of slowing down by a factor of 2 if you like. There's also another consideration, that is field of view or FOV. By default this is set to wide, which uses the whole camera sensor. But you can also choose medium and narrow, which increasingly zooms in on the center of the shot without any loss in quality. In 35mm equivalent terms, wide is 14mm, medium is 21mm and narrow is 28mm. As you increase the resolution, you lose many options. At 1080p, you can choose up to 120 frames per second and from all fields of view. At 2.7K, you can't go beyond 60 FPS and you lose a narrow field of view. And at 4K, 30 FPS is the limit. You can only shoot the wide field of view, and arguably most importantly, image stabilization, which I'll discuss in a minute, is turned off. I tend to record at 2.7K and 60 frames per second, which still allows image stabilization. If I'm outputting to 1080p, I can zoom in slightly whilst editing the video without losing any quality, basically the same as FOV in camera. And if I output to 30 frames per second too, I can slow down any footage I want to half speed, again without losing any quality. But generally I'd recommend sticking with the default 1080p, 60 frames per second, at least to get started. You can then zoom in using the FOV and increase the frame rate to 120 FPS for any clips you know you'll want to get true slow-mo when editing. I'll briefly mention the two other field of views you're offered in 1080p and 2.7K. Super View records a more square 4:3 ratio and then stretches the size to make a standard 16:9 ratio. This mode can be useful when using a chest mount for mountain biking, for example. You get to see your handlebars and the trail ahead, and it just looks a little bit more immersive. There is also linear mode, which corrects the fisheye effect of the wide-angle lens if you don't like those distorted edges. Some video editing packages let you do this also. Included with the Hero 5 Black is the frame, a mounting buckle, a curved and a flat mount, as well as the USB-C cable and battery already discussed. There is no standard 1/4" tripod mount in the Hero 5 Black, so you'll need to insert the camera into the frame, which gives a little additional protection and moreover provides a standard GoPro buckle attachment that fits a plethora of mounts. Slide the camera in evenly until it rests against the raised edge of the frame, close the door and secure the latch. Attach the mounting buckle using the thumb screw, flip up the mounting buckle plug and slide into your mount. Here I'm using the curved mount on a cycling helmet. The adhesive mounts are very secure, but make sure you're sticking it to a smooth, clean surface. I always use some isopropyl alcohol to wipe the surface I'm attaching to. GoPro sell a load of mounts for all sorts of activities. For mountain biking, I found the most useful to be the Chesty and the Pro handlebar mount. For general use and the beach, the Handler hand grip, which also will float in water, is very good. The original GoPro accessories are good quality but expensive. You can get a complete set of third-party accessories off Amazon for a fraction of the price. They won't be the same quality, but may just do the job for occasional use. The accompanying GoPro app makes it easy to control your camera wirelessly and to download content for quick edits and sharing straight from your smartphone. The app guides you through the process of connecting to your camera over Wi-Fi and then also creates a low-power Bluetooth connection so as to extend the GoPro's battery life. The GoPro app works very well for setting up shots when you're unable to see the screen, when the camera is mounted on your head for example. It's also more convenient changing settings via the app than using the touchscreen. You can also view your recorded content and download it to your device to edit and share. One issue with action cameras has always been trying to convert the huge amount of recorded content into something a few minutes long that can be easily shared. GoPro has spent a lot of money developing their apps in the last year or so to try and make this easier. You'll be prompted to download the GoPro's Quick app to automatically convert your footage into what it calls a story. I personally like to have a little bit more control, but it is a quick and easy way of creating something that you can share straight from your smartphone. If you're running an iOS device, GoPro also has the Splice app, which is an easy to use video editor and provides a lot more control, and it works with any smartphone footage too. The Hero 5 Black supports voice control, so you can say, GoPro, start recording. You can also add highlight tags after a good bit for easier editing later, say GoPro highlight. Voice control is off by default, but you can turn it on by swiping down and tapping on the voice control icon. The voice recognition works well when the camera is mounted near you, on the chest mount for instance, and there's not too much background noise. When I've used it for mountain biking, I found I'm better off slowing down or stopping to ensure a command is heard, but it's still a very convenient feature. Considering the size of the camera, the video quality is very good. It has a small sensor size, so the more light the better, but the colours are pleasing and the camera adapts to changes in light quickly, which is important for action sports. There is only electronic image stabilisation, no optical IS, and it doesn't work in 4K mode, but it does offer a noticeable improvement. With default settings, I find the footage over-sharpened, especially noticeable with people, but if you're willing to delve into the advanced Pro Tune settings, you can turn sharpening down. I'd recommend the medium setting or low if you're going to apply sharpening in your video editing package. Something has to give with the tiny size of these action cameras and its battery life. You'll be lucky to get more than 1.5 hours. I'd recommend carrying at least one extra battery around with you, or try and use the quick capture mode I discussed earlier and just record short clips with the camera turning off between recordings. Audio quality is much improved over older GoPro models and other action cameras I've used, but if you want the best audio, the camera does support external mics via the optional mic adapter, but it's pricey at £50 or $50 and almost half the size of the camera itself. For £100 or $100 more, you can get the Hero 6 Black. The main upgrade is a faster processor which can record 4K at 60 frames per second, which allows for image stabilisation in 4K, albeit only at 30 frames per second. For £100 or $100 less, there's the Hero 5 Session, which doesn't have the touchscreen or GPS. And finally, there's the Hero Session, which at £150 or $150 is half the price of the Hero 5 Session if you don't need 4K video, voice control or image stabilisation. It's hard not to like the Hero 5 Black. It has pretty much every headline feature you could ask for: 4K video, voice control, GPS, Wi-Fi with Bluetooth, a touchscreen, and it's waterproof without any housing. The amount of native mounts and accessories available is comprehensive to say the least, and the video quality is very good when you consider its size. My two general concerns are, firstly, the price. It's expensive. For the same price you could get the Olympus TG5 camera, for example, which is more rugged. It has a 4x optical zoom, better image quality and proper camera controls. But of course it is much heavier and you have to be more creative when it comes to mounting. And second, which is partly related to my first point, what do you plan to use it for? Despite all GoPro's marketing efforts, these cameras are really designed for recording action sports. They are not so great as general purpose cameras. So if you're not about to jump out of an aeroplane and just want a camera for taking down the beach, there might be a better option available. And if you are set on getting an action camera, but you only edit clips on your smartphone and share with friends, then you might not need 4K video, and the Hero Session for only £150 or $150 might be more suitable. So coming back to the camera, here's a summary, starting off with the pros. The camera is waterproof to 10 meters without any additional housing. The GoPro ecosystem of mounts and accessories is very comprehensive. The GoPro app works very well for wireless control, good image quality in decent light. USB-C connector supports fast charging via the USB-C power delivery. Compact and lightweight, only 120 grams with the battery and card. The replaceable lens, touchscreen is clear and sharp. Okay, so moving on to the cons. Battery life is only an hour and a half. It's expensive compared to, say, the Olympus TG5 Tough. Low light performance is only average based on the small sensor size. The resolution's effect on other settings can be confusing. So 4K mode, only 30 frames per second is allowed with only wide angle field of view, and image stabilisation has to be turned off. Micro SD cards are fiddly to insert and remove, and there are no markings to indicate which way round they go, that I could see anyway. Thumb screw can be difficult to remove when very tight and hands are cold. The doors are difficult to open, particularly the side door. This is partly due to the weather sealing, but it's easy to lose that side door and it's expensive to replace. Advanced Pro Tune camera settings can be confusing, as can the different audio modes. And finally, there's no fast charger included. So I hope you found this review useful. If you have any specific questions, please do ask below. I'll try and respond. Thanks very much for watching.